All right, all right, all right. What you're about to see here is a video how I did it. I don't know what episode. This is probably episode 7 or 8 now. I don't know. You'll know when I do the title, which you've already seen. Maybe I haven't done that part yet. At any rate, this is about a walnut kitchen island top I did in 2016 that I shipped back to New Jersey. So you're going to see that. Right, it's a picture folder from my Mike Z Design Facebook page. I didn't do a video on that at the time. Wasn't thinking about it. So why am I doing this now? Okay, so the client, who's a girl I went to high school with, by the way, who did well. Her and her husband are great. And so they've been using this for 9.5 years now, and it's getting worn in a few spots, which is normal. That's patina, right? Your family, it's been loved. 9.5 years of life, use, dents, dings, scratches. That's normal. That's what you want. That's what you want. And if I'm building something for you, you're paying for it, but you're paying for it because I'm not making things out of plywood, right? It's a solid wood. That thing is 1 3/4 thick, solid walnut. And, you know, so what does that mean? Well, that means that you can't screw that thing up, man. You cannot screw that thing up. So what does that mean? I mean, you could do whatever you want to it. You can sand that thing out. You could strip and sand the finish completely off that thing and refinish it and make it look brand new again. But if you want to preserve the patina, maybe an idea is, and this is what I suggested to them, would be to put like a light scuff on it of sandpaper, and then just put a paste wax on it, because the areas that are worn through the finish, the wax will saturate that a little bit. It'll even out the finish. It'll repel water, and then from time to time you just have to put more paste wax on it a couple times. As a matter of fact, I know that when I sent that to them, that's what I recommended was, you know, after you finish it, put a coat of paste wax on it, and then over the years, if you keep up on the paste wax, you likely won't have what happened. So it just requires kind of constant maintenance. Also with wood, just, it's not about them. Avoid allowing water to sit on wood. That's kind of common sense for you. Now, I'm going to show you my favorite tool for finishing with sandpaper is this sanding block I made years and years and years ago. This one I made when I was in the film industry back in the early 1990s. And so what you do is you take a sanding belt for a belt sander, and then you make a piece of plywood and you shape it right so it just fits perfect. This one here is actually a little loose. You see, you shouldn't be able to turn that on there. Although it helps because you can grip it and hold it there, and you can kind of rotate the surface of the paper on there. This one here I've probably had for 20 years, and you can see on this end here I shaped it down a little bit more right there because I wanted a slimmer radius than what I have here, so I could kind of fit that into things when I need to. So I use this all the time just for knocking down corners and knocking things around real quick. But when I'm doing a like finish on a surface, I will wrap a full piece of sanding paper over that, and then boom, go in the direction of the grain, right? That's what you want to do. Now this is a 180 sanding paper. I rarely go, I'll usually go to about 150 is about the harshest that I'll do. Because anything more than that, when I say more, I mean a lower number, which is a, you know, stronger grit. Like 60 would be like just scratching things up. That's for paint removal. But you'll see people using 100, 120. I don't like it. Leave scratches in the wood. You have to figure out on your own through experimentation what grit you want to start with on wood, depending on the species of the wood and how hard it is. The softer it is, the higher the grit you want to use number, because you don't want to put a bunch of scratches in it. Also, I did a video on sanding a while ago. I don't like to use random orbit sanders anymore. These days I'll use a palm sander. I wasn't going to do this, but I'll quickly get it out of the box for you. My current favorite palm sander is this Festool right here. It's a great machine. A random orbit sander is round and it's just more aggressive and it puts big swirls in the wood, and you don't want to do that. when you're sanding, it's like polishing a car, like the car finish. You're just trying to get finer and finer and finer scratches to the point where you don't see them anymore. That's basically what you're trying to do. So even on this whole project with the cherry and the pine, I've never done anything harsher than 180 grit. So I'm using 180 grit with this, and I'm still going with the direction of the grain. Then I'm wetting it, I'm raising the grain, and then I'm taking this block and I'm going in the direction of the grain. Now I'm ready for finish. So I just wanted to show this so the clients can see this. If you can make yourself one of these, it's great. What's great about this is you put the sanding belt on, and it's on there super tight, and then that sandpaper actually helps to grip the piece that you're wrapping around it. And these purple pieces of sanding paper have like a grippiness to the back side, so they'll kind of grip a little bit whatever you're wrapping them around. Okay? That's the thing. Now typically, you'll take these and you'll rip these into 3 equal pieces, and then what you want to do is you want to make yourself a little sanding block that you wrap that around, and that'll help you get into the fine areas, right? And then sometimes you might want to use a piece of foam in case you're sanding around something that's irregular. And if you were trying to sand that with just your fingers, you're going to get blisters. Matter of fact, I'm healing from a blister on that thumb right there from a couple weeks ago. So that's all I wanted to say. Make yourself a block. It doesn't have to have the sandpaper on it already. Wrap the full piece of sandpaper around it. Go in the direction. Now, what these guys are going to do, they're going to attempt, and I told them to use a 300 to 400 grit. Just go over the whole circle, clean it first, then scratch over it with this and go with long strokes as long as you can, and at some point get on there and go the whole length of the table, right? Start this end all the way across this way and all the way across this way after you've already done this. On the breadboard edges, go with the direction of the grain on the breadboard edge. Tack it off, wipe it down. You can use a damp cloth, you can use tack cloths, which is... we got some here. I'll show you one in a package so you know what it looks like. This will get the dust off everything. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to use a paste wax, which I got some here. I happen to like this. This happens to be my favorite. They can get the clear or they could get walnut. I like this brie wax stuff. And you can thin that too. And so basically get that on a cotton cloth. Wax on, wax off, and buff the whole thing out. That wax will penetrate into the area where the finish is worn away a little bit, and it should blend nicely, and water will beat up on that and you'll be golden. It'll look like it's wax. They'll have a hand-rubbed look, so when you look at it, when the light hits it, you'll see imperfections in the finish where just because the wax is smudgy, just take a cloth and buff it out again. It's not a big deal, and you can keep that up forever. Here's the thing, if you do that and you're not happy with it, by doing this, by just taking like a 400 grit, going over that surface, cleaning it up, putting the paste wax on and buffing that out real good, you can use an electric buffer if you want. You can get crazy with this, like you use for your car. You could do that. You can use car wax on it, technically. I mean, you know, this stuff is made for furniture. So you do that. Let's say down the road, I'm sorry, but the benefit of that is you're preserving the nicks, the dings, even the wear mark. You'll probably notice where the wear mark was, but at least now it's sealed. That's what you want, because you're preserving the patina that it gained over the 9.5 years so far that you used it. So you can remember, oh, you remember when our kid did this that day? It brings up memories. If you sand the whole thing down and refinish it, you're erasing all those memories. But let's say in the future, that's what you want to do, but you've been waxing it for years, a decade or so. You got to strip that off. So at that point, you need to strip that off with like a stripper, you know, and clean it off really well. And now you can sand it. Now here's the other thing. These days, it's very common for wood shops, like local furniture builders and whatnot, cabinet makers, they will have these giant belt sanding machines that will sand, I think, a pretty standard size, like 42 inches, 52 inches, whatever, wide. So you could bring this whole top to them. They will run it through there and get it smooth again. And then you could come back and tune it up with the blocks after that, go with the direction of the grain on the breadboard edges, start your finish process all over again and put whatever finish you want on, and now it'll look brand new. So those are your options, okay? But I just wanted to point out, because I was sending her notes saying, put, wrap your sandpaper around a block. I wanted to show you guys what the block that I use looks like. Very, very simple. Doesn't get easier than that. All right? Use the purple paper, or I don't mind this yellow paper. These hold up really well, but just avoid your old school, like the tan paper, because this doesn't last very long. Try to, if I was more professional, I would have had a version out here for you. Okay, so here's the, this, what is this? This 3M here? That's what I like right there. I wouldn't use this here. I'm trying to see if I've got the yellow just to show you what to get, what not to get. Okay, the Norton is good stuff too. This kind of reddish color, that's good stuff. This is good, the purple's good. And see if I've got the yellow here. I don't have any of the yellow. This here is the 400, which I use. And real quick on when I'm doing like a polyurethane finish, I did a whole video on it. I sand it with the machine. Then I wet it down. I let the grain raise. Then I go over it with the block, with the 180. Then I apply a coat of finish. I don't sand that finish. I use a tack cloth. I tack the finish off. Then I apply a second coat. If I didn't screw that up, if it looks nice and flat, I will tack it off again, and I will apply a third coat, all without sanding between coats. Did a video on this, you can look it up. Then I will wrap this block with 400 grit, and I will go in the direction of the grain. Then I will vacuum it off, and then I will tack it off, and then I will put a final coat on it. And I'm usually doing a wipe-on polyurethane. I'm trying something different this time. We'll see if this works. I have some of my normal finish. This is what I tend to like. I know that the can has changed. I have to drive to Nevada for this stuff because they just don't sell it here. But this is my go-to finish. I bought this. This is what I have left, which I bought like 4 years ago. Wipe-on polyurethane satin finish is what I like. That's what I like. And that's what I prefer to use. So I'm going to seal all of this with this stuff because I've got 2.5 cans left of it. And I'll be topping it off with this. So, which is, they're saying that this is an oil modified polyurethane. I'm not jazzed about that. I may, after I get this done, maybe before I'm done, maybe I'll just take a drive out. Maybe I'll visit Sarah or somebody out in Tacoma and drive over to Pahrump and Nevada and go to a Home Depot there and get some of this stuff. I don't think Home Depot sells it. I think I got to go to a Lowe's and then come back with that. That's usually what I have to do. It's also if you want to buy ammo, that's what you want to do if you live in Los Angeles. At any rate, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. I got to get to work. I got to get this drawer together today, and then I got one little box, one little thing I got to make with a couple shelves, not very large. That's it. Other than those floating shelves, I just got to do some mortising on the back sides of them, but they're done other than sanding. So after that, it's sanding hell and then finish. So I'm getting close to having this job installed. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Okay, so with all projects that I do for people, we start off with rough sketches. And this is a walnut island top. I made it all here in Los Angeles, and I shipped this to New Jersey. And looking at the date stamp on this picture folder, this is a picture folder from my Mike Z Design Facebook page. This was 2016, August of 2016. So, you know, boy, what are we saying here? It's about 9.5 years ago. So you could see on the sketch, you can zoom this in a little bit. You know, I kind of sketched it out with the butterflies laid out there. In the end, they were white oak, And I've got breadboard edges over here that you can see, and some notes, choices, that sort of thing. And then we start with the process, which is buying lumber, right? So this was selecting all the walnut for the top over at Bonhoff Lumber. And you can see what these things look like when you buy them. I mean, they're pretty rough. I mean, there's a whole section here I can't even use on this board right there. So you oftentimes have to buy more than you need. That's just how it is. And you're limited to buy what they have. What just happened there? Okay. So this is the shop. So the first step is cutting rough lengths. And you always want to cut longer than you need. And we are ripping them on the table saw now. And I use that rip straight piece of plywood there because there's oftentimes curves in the wood. And now you can see here, there's a pencil line on that, and you see the bow, and you see it's bowed the other direction here. There's a pencil line there. So I'm trying to remove material and net the thickest amount of wood from this piece that's still straight, because this is like an S. You can see it here. I think you guys can see that. Again, this is what I want to keep, this section right here. You see the little arrow there, I think. So, wow, I don't even remember this. Look at that. I used a hand plane, which I don't use very often. A Makita hand planer, which is probably in Arizona. It might be here at the shop. So I used a planer to take that whole section down before I put it on the actual joiner. So that was smart, you know. I don't realize how smart I am sometimes. So that looks like it's all been close to thicknessing and face joined, and yeah. So the boards are prepped. Now I'm laying them out. So what I've done is I've already face joined them, put them through the bandsaw, let them sit, and they've been planed. Now they're all flat. And what I'm doing here is I'm laying them out for grain pattern because I want it to look good. And we can see here, final thickness is 1 3/4 inches. 1 3/4 of an inch thick, solid. And I don't work in plywood with veneers. Here's the glue up. Okay, now I'm cutting the ends, and I'm going to do a breadboard edge here. What I'm doing here is I'm making the tenon. So I'm using my Festool guide track here, extrusion, whatever you want to call it, to cut my line. And then you can see here I used my old trusty 690, I think, Porter cable plunge router, which I've been using since the 1990s. That motor's pretty much shot. I'm using some Bosch 2 horsepower routers now. But that's what I did to remove all this material here. And that's my tenon. Excuse me. This is one of my fishtail chisels I don't have anymore because my tools were stolen after this and I need new. Here's my hollow chisel mortiser. I have to do this later this week. You see this wood block right here, and I'll be able to put that here, and that gives me more lift. You see here the block is here. I have another block with longer bolts as well, so I can go much taller. So this is me making a slot mortise in the edge of the breadboard edge piece of wood. That's what this is here. If you don't know what a breadboard edge is, you're about to see it. There's the slot cut. And that's me fitting it. And I'll tell you, I remember getting this so tight that I couldn't get it off because you always want to dry fit. So I had to clamp this board on and use a dead blow mallet to whack this, to knock this free, to get it off again. And you can see me doing that here. And you see these super long pipe clamps, by the way. And so one of the things about pipe clamps is you have a threaded end, and you can use a coupler and thread another pipe onto it so you can get a longer pipe clamp. Because this table, I believe this table was, oh, look at this. I didn't know I could do that. We got full screen here. Let's move you over. That's better. So I think this table was about 9 feet long, 3 feet wide, something like that. Here's the making the butterflies. I now have a jig. Pardon me. First thing in the morning. Trying to get this done before I leave for work here. I did not know I was going to do this morning. Just that. So yeah, so now I'm fine tuning. Now this block, this sanding block right here is what you saw in the beginning of this video. I haven't shot it yet. I'm shooting this now. I'm going to go to the shop. I'm going to make a quick video. I'm going to attach it to this video, and that's what you're watching now. But after I cut these on the bandsaw, I've got to fine tune them with a block here. And this is my process. These are my old chisels, man. I mean, I have a much nicer Japanese 2-inch chisel to replace that old buck one up there, but that did a fine job. And again, I need one of these. These are like $80 a piece on eBay right now from Japan. These fishtail style chisels. I got to get a couple of those. So there's the white oak butterfly mortises in place. And now I'm going to cut the pins. So you have to peg the breadboard edge. So here's your field. Board's going that direction. Breadboard edge goes in the opposite direction. This will keep it dresses the end grain on the edge of the table, but it also keeps the table flat. So instead of laying them out like squares, I've oriented them to be more like triangles because it's going to look better. So yeah, drilling through first, place them. So I don't know if I show this, but each one of these starts off as a square piece of wood, right? These little, and then I shape them round, and I leave the top square, and I pound them through the hole and into the mortise that I created, and then I trim them after the fact. Pretty straightforward, simple stuff here. There's a better view of that. I'll blow that up for you as well. So you can see what's going on here. They all got hammered into those diamonds, we'll call them. But the bottom of this piece of wood here, I hand-shaped round. It's just how I do it. Cutting them flush here. This saw, I sanded the what do you call it? The kerf down so that it won't scratch the surface when I'm plug cutting. I made my own plug cutting saw. So that's it wet down with water, and you can see it looks like $1,000,000. Okay, so this edge here, what I did here was I kept it square, right, for about 3/4 of an inch or so, and then I kicked it back on an angle. It gives it a little bit of a floating effect. I'm going to tune that up with a block and block planes and everything. And this is going to be sitting at 36 inches high, approximately, in the kitchen. So when you walk up to it, it gives it a vibe like it's floating off the surface it's sitting on. Little trick. So we're precisely 36 inches wide, which is what the client wanted. And that's obviously to the straight edge here. There's your top. I think that's probably a first coat of finish. That's all I did for them was I did one coat. I shipped it to them and they finished the finish. There's the old Dodge. Man, kind of missed the truck. I got to be honest with you. That was, I mean, I drove this every day for over 20 years in Los Angeles. And that thing was a race car. Posi rear end, dual exhaust, electronic ignition. I did a front disc brake conversion to it. That was an amazing truck. Sold it to a 19-year-old welder. There it is in the back. Bringing it to a shipping place, which is right there. I don't remember the name. Box Brothers, I think it was called, up on Hollywood Boulevard. They used to ship all my cutting boards. So here's the kitchen. Now, these people originally sent me a picture of the kitchen, so I knew that they had a walnut kitchen, walnut cabinets, which I think is just a stain. And there you have it. They sent me these photos. I mean, it looks beautiful, right? They were, I think it was a newly constructed home at the time. Now, they just sent me some pictures where this thing is worn out, right? In a few spots, it's worn, which is normal. And they were asking me how to refinish it, which is the beginning of this video, what you got there. So I wish I could have visited them when I was home. All these times I went home, I never went over there. I should have. I could have gotten better. Not that these are terrible pictures, but I know how to photograph it a little bit differently. Look at that, man. It looks awesome. And yeah, this was not inexpensive, by the way. This was not an inexpensive project. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day. Remember to, be kind to one another.